Alright everyone, and welcome to my first ever Flight Simulator 2004 video on here. And I'm thinking of doing a short flight today. A pretty typical flight. And the first thing I'm going to do is select my plane, which is going to be a Boeing 737 Landmark Airlines. And we will change the flight number to, let's just do 3 random numbers. Alright, 687, I need to remember that. 687, alright? So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to fly from New Orleans International Airport, which is my local airport, to George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston, Texas. So we're going to go into Flight Planner here. We're going to depart from New Orleans. Okay, KMSY. We're going to be at a medium gate. Okay, and we're going to Houston. All right, which here it is, George Bush Intercontinental. We're going to fly an IFR. All right, and I like to fly VOR to VOR. As you can see, there's some. This is not a long flight, so you don't need to cruise very high. Alright, we're going to go 27,000 feet. We're going to look at our nav log. As you can see, here's our route. Alright, here's the estimated headings and altitudes. Alright, so we're going to say OK. 27,000 feet, OK. Alright, and then it saves it. Yes, it already exists. We'll override it. And will put me on the airport. Alright. For time, let's just do it during the day, alright? And for weather, we could do real world weather, but there's a reason I don't like doing that, and I'll probably explain it at a later date. But cold fronts, building storms, let's just do cold fronts. Alright, so we're all ready to go, okay? And we're going to hop into the simulation right now. So here we go. I may actually wind up filming this whole flight, considering it's a pretty short flight. It's not very long at all. And so, sorry, I'm just getting my joystick positioned. Alright, so here we are. Alright, it might actually be better, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to really do that, but alright, so the first thing we're going to do, alright, is we're going to go into FS Passengers, alright, and we're going to start a flight in FS Passengers. Now, first thing it does is tells you that we've got 107 passengers, alright, so we say okay. Now we have to load the plane, alright, so we're going to load our first class, we're going to load our economy class, alright, 0 waiting at the gate. And look, you can view the passenger list, you can do it by age, you've got some all kinds of ages, weights, people on the list here. We've got 107 passengers, alright, this is a brand new company I just started, so this will be the first flight. Now, if we set the flight ID, remember it was 687, that was our flight, okay, and let's go ahead and set the destination as Houston, and see, it does it automatically. There you go, George Bush Intercontinental. Destination set. Alright, now this is a British program, okay, you gotta keep in mind, so all the voices and everything are gonna be in, you know, with a British accent, even though we're in America. I'm sorry, but that's the deal. So everything is set. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and load it immediately. Alright, now, as you can see, we could enter V1, VR, but I'm not going to do that. Let's just go ahead and start the flight. Alright, seatbelt sign's on. We're going to make some, the hostess is going to make some announcements here. Alright. And so while they're talking, alright, people are buckling their seatbelts. We're going to go ahead and set the plane up, alright? First thing we're going to do is set to local altimeter by pressing B. And as you can see, that changed here the code, alright? Now we're going to set up our autopilot. I like setting up, well, I can actually do it from the keyboard. So there you go. See, the speed is set. That's what we're gonna, you'll see what I'm doing once we take off, alright? Turn the pitot heat on. We're gonna turn the nav lights on for now. And land lights on. Alright, let's get the GPS up. Alright. And I always zoom out to 100 and turn on terrain. That's just the way I've always done it. And I make it small. Keep it right there, over those instruments, which I don't look at when flying. Alright, so there you go. There is our GPS that we're gonna use during the flight. Alright. So let's go ahead and contact air traffic control and get our clearance. So we're gonna tune the clearance and ask it. Alright, so they're giving us our instructions, alright? We need to climb and maintain 6,000. So we're going to set our altitude to 6,000. Alright, let's answer them back. Let's confirm our clearance, alright? We're going to set, don't worry about this, this is just autopilot setting. We got planes, as you can see, going out to the runway. So now they want us to contact the ground. So let's go ahead and tune the ground frequency and request our taxi. Oh, we have to wait for this this plane to request taxi first. Okay, they're going to read back the instructions. We'll see if we can jump in here, maybe. Yeah, here we go. We jumped in. Okay, good. We're using runway 28, which means it's going to be a short taxi and not all the way down the taxiway. Alright, so we're going to turn on progressive taxi. I'll show you what that is, and we'll acknowledge our taxi. So let's go ahead and look at the plane that we're using today. Alright, this is it. The landmark 737. Alright, and as you can see, that pink line, that's our progressive taxi. That shows us our taxi path. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go into the plane, and we're going to turn on some more lights. We're going to turn on our beacon light here. Alright. All these other planes requesting taxi to take off. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our flaps down for takeoff. And the flaps are these things here on the sides of the plane. And you'll see when I lower them, when you lower them to 5, you'll see them move. Alright? Here's 1, and here's 5. I don't know if you can see them, but they're actually extending out. And we need those set. I'm sorry, that's 2. This is 5. Here's our flap meter over here. And if we look, you can see that these are kind of angled down now, alright? So, these right here. So, I'm pointing at my computer screen like I'm filming the computer screen, but I'm not. Alright? So, there it is. Alright, so now, we're going to go ahead and taxi out and prepare to take off. So, we're going to remove the parking brake. Alright, now let's see if I remember how to tell it to back up here. Let's see. Shift P, does that do it? Yep, here we go. See, now we're backing out. Now I want to turn right, so I'm going to hit 2. And see if that swings us out to the right like I want to go. Or is it going to do anything? No, it's not turning for some reason. Alright, well, no worries. Alright, before I hit this plane behind me, I'm going to stop. Alright, the southwest. And we'll go back into the... Here's planes taking off over here, as you can see. We're going to go back into the cockpit view. And we're going to just remove that. Alright, so we can see. We're going to move the panel, and now we'll start taxiing out. Give it a little thrust, a little throttle here. So fast. And we're going to go ahead and taxi out. Careful not to hit that American Airlines. As I can tell, my thing is going to give me problems. There's a Continental about to take off. Probably the same place we're about to go. Yep. It's going to Houston. Yeah, my joystick's giving me trouble here. Turning to the right, it doesn't want to. I don't know what is happening right now with my throttle. Look, I let go of the throttle and it starts moving. Hold on a second. This joystick. For some reason the throttle, I put it all the way down and it moves. It starts... There we go. I had to unplug and replug my joystick back in. That's excellent. So anyway, let's tune in the tower here. We can pull up a little bit. Alright, this plane's going to request for takeoff. Okay. And see, he's going to Birmingham. So, he's going to take off, then this guy right here, who's going to Chicago O'Hare, he is going to be taxiing onto the runway. See, they're telling him to taxi into position on the runway. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and taxi in behind him here. And we're going to tell the tower that we are sitting here just waiting for their instructions. So let's go ahead and... Whoop! I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. Request clearance for takeoff. They're going to tell us no, because there's a plane on the runway. So we're holding short of the runway. Yep, they're telling us to hold short, which I knew. And we're holding short. We're going to wait for this guy to take off, and then we're going to take our turn, and we're going to take off. Alright, so now he's cleared. So now they're going to tell us that we're clear to taxi onto the runway. Okay, so here we go. We'll answer him. Move this mouse out the way here. And get ourselves in position here on the runway. It's been so long since I've done a flight. Oh man. Ourselves as straight as we can get. Alright, so we're about to get cleared for takeoff. And meaning I'm going to need to turn my strobe light back on. And here we go. Now we are clear for takeoff on runway 28. We're going to acknowledge it. And after I do a quick mental check of what I need to do, we're going to go ahead and take off. So, when I take off, the first thing I need to do, the first thing I'm going to do when I lift off is I'm going to engage my auto thrust here to put me at 250, which is the standard speed limit under 10,000 feet. Then I'm going to, I need to retract my landing gear, I need to retract my flaps, and I need to set my my autopilot with my my heading here, and I can actually track this somehow, but we'll worry about that later. So, alright, so here we go, and we're about to take off. So let's do it. Increase speed a little bit. Go thrust here. Let's crank her up. Alright, full thrust. Alright, we're going to pull back. We're up. So up comes the speed. The gear. Auto speed is on. Track my flaps. I'm going to go ahead and set my autopilot, and here we go. Alright, we're climbing out. Alright, now they're handing us off to the departure frequency. We acknowledge our handoff. Okay, now they're giving us a heading to turn to. We're going to acknowledge to heading 285. And then we'll turn that on. What we're actually going to do is we're going to switch it to GPS here. And it's actually going to track our GPS for us, which is useful. Alright. I'm trying to hand this off here. Tune the departure. Talk to them. And as you can see, here we are climbing up through the clouds. Here we go. Up at cloud level now. As you can see, here's our plane. It's got our flight plan. There's the airport behind us. Here's the Mississippi River. Alright. There's Lake Pontchartrain off to our right here. We're on our way. Okay, so now we are climbing. There's a plane up here above us. It's American 1517. And it is inbound to New Orleans from Boston, which is interesting. Okay. So now they're bringing us up to 12,000 feet. For some reason they turned off the fasten seatbelt sign, which they should not do. Alright, making a little turn here to get back on course. See what this is doing for us right down here is it's actually tracking this GPS route. So as you can see, this blue line here shows us the heading we need to be traveling through these vectors, and my autopilot's actually tracking it for me. So as you can see, the autopilot is turning the plane right now. I'm not turning it. The autopilot is turning the plane. Now, once we hit 10,000 feet, we're going to do a couple of things. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is turn off our landing lights because we don't need those above 10,000 feet. And we're also going to up our speed a little bit because we can go faster once we break 10,000 feet. We can actually travel at 280 IAS instead of just 250. We're handing us off again. Handing us to Houston Center. Let's see, this autopilot here is tracking this for us, which is good. Alright, we're coming up on 10,000 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip off these landing lights here. Make this box go away. And I'm going to up our speed now to 280. Alright? And as you can see, the co-pilot informed us to passing 10,000 feet because we can do that. That's a plane passing way too close. Of course, the air traffic control in this game is awful, so it's not surprising that he passed that close to us. But alright, so now basically what we're going to do is the plane is speeding up, and we're going to cruise up to our cruising altitude of 27,000 feet, as you can see. Alright, now there's some turbulence right now. As you can see, it's being reflected up here by the passengers. They're scared of the turbulence because that's because I picked the cold front. As you can see, the plane's bouncing a little bit. Fasten seatbelt sign turned on automatically. Alright, they're giving us more climbing instructions to 22,000 feet. So basically, once we get to this point, the autopilot pretty much is doing the work for us right now. Let's recap what the autopilot's doing. Right, the autopilot is keeping our altitude where it is. I set the autopilot to climb us up to 22,000 feet, which is our current instructions. It's doing that for us, and it's doing it at this vertical speed, 2,000 feet. I believe that is feet per minute, I want to say. I'm not entirely positive, but I used to know, but I don't remember. Okay, so that's doing that. The autopilot is also keeping our speed around 280 knots, you could say. Alright, that's what it's doing there. The autopilot also is tracking our flight plan here. We've got our flight plan. Remember, I did VOR to VOR, which are basically vectors. I've got them here in my GPS, and therefore the autopilot is tracking our course for us. So pretty much, like I said, as you can see, here's the joystick. I'm not doing anything with the joystick. I've got it all set up through the autopilot, which is pretty neat. So we can sit back, just kind of cruise, look around here. Alright? And now, another thing I recommend you doing is, if you're going to do it with the autopilot like this, as you can see, the throttle would be all the way up from your takeoff. Remember, if you can, to bring it back down all the way to no throttle at all, and you'll see why once we are coming into land. As you can see here, we're hitting some more turbulence. And we're continuing to climb here. If you want, we can take another outside view. Now, the error message is giving us is that our altimeter, which is this, is incorrect. So our altitude is actually not reading correctly. Easy way to fix that, you just press B, and you're going to watch it change. You see that? It changed, and the altimeter dropped like that, and that's our real pressure. We hit the turbulence there, and it kind of messed it up. So we change our altimeter, and there you go. Now, at 18,000 feet, we're going to change this to read 29.92, and that's your standard, your standing altimeter setting above 18,000 feet. So once it hits there, he's going to tell us we're reaching transition altitude, and I'll do that.
Reaching transition
Okay, so there you go, transition altitude. I'll hit B again, and it's going to correct this to 2992. You see that? And it jumped way forward, so that is our correct altitude reading. Okay, here's a view around us with the clouds here. Here's our GPS. As you can see, we're flying over Louisiana. We're, you know, approaching towards the middle of Louisiana, more like Lafayette region. We're going to hit this next vector here in approximately 17 minutes now. We're going to hit this vector LCH. And when we hit that, we're going to make a left-hand turn down to this vector, and they're going to probably begin bringing us in for landing. So once we hit cruising altitude of 27,000 feet, I'm probably going to stop filming, and once we receive our descent instructions, I'll probably resume filming, and I'll show you that. But there are a couple other things I want to show you once we hit cruising altitude, which isn't a lot of change, but I will show you. Okay, let's look at our outside view. Right, here we are. We're climbing, as you can clearly see. We're getting high up here, well above the bottom cloud layer. There's a lot of clouds, obviously, because I've hit cold front. So there's a lot of clouds. And, alright, so here's our final climb instructions. They want us to go to 27,000 feet, which is our cruising altitude for the flight. So we will climb up to 27,000 feet. As you can see, speed I have left at 280. That has not changed. It will change once we hit our cruising altitude. We can settle in at a cruising speed, which is even faster than we're going now. So this number will actually reduce once we hit cruising altitude. But as you can see, this part of the flight is easy. The hardest parts are obviously once you take off, maintaining your, getting all of your autopilot and such set up, and doing all that. But actually, my film's about to run out here, so we will be back once we begin approach.